21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Over the past 30 years as a tax attorney, we've helped thousands of entrepreneurs protect billions of dollars from the government, taxes, and creditors. And even though we've done thousands of transactions, not one of ours has ever been overturned by a court or a divorcing spouse or a former partner. So we're not the cheapest firm, but we deliver results with certainty that you can sleep well at night. I'm Todd Villarrubia. I'm a 30-year tax attorney. I have what's called a LLM, or Masters of Laws in Taxation. I'm also one of only about 100 board-certified experts in estate planning and administration. I'm also an accredited estate planner and a certified exit planning advisor. So we are uniquely situated to help high-income entrepreneurs both do asset protection and tax mitigation strategies. So most of the entrepreneurs that we work with, what we find is that when they're younger, they're trying to grow their wealth. As you get older, the protection of that wealth becomes even more important. And when we work with families, we have a goal of giving 10-to-1 ROI. And we can usually achieve that through asset protection, income tax strategies, and estate tax elimination structures. So, for example, a lot of people are not aware of Section 1202 of the Code, which governs qualified small business stock. And if you qualify, you can exclude up to $15 million of gain when you sell your company. And in fact, we can set up specific sophisticated trusts and stack those $15 million exemptions and get multiple of them. But one of the key components is that you have to be a C Corp in order to qualify. And a lot of people are LLCs or S Corps and won't be able to qualify. So for any of our business owners that are looking to eventually sell their company, we want to work with their CPAs to look at whether forming a C Corp might not be the smartest play. Probably the biggest mistake we see is that the estate plan that was designed for you when you were worth $1 million will utterly fail when you're worth $10 million. And a plan at $10 million will fail when you reach $50 million. So one of the things is that I believe it's important every 3 to 5 years to sit down with your estate planning attorney and update your documents. The second thing is that I think you need to look for someone who is both an expert estate planner and a tax attorney. Most business owners don't realize that if all you have is an estate planning attorney, they may not be able to help you with the substantial tax risks that the wealthy face. In our country, the top 10% of Americans pay 76% of the tax load, and the bottom 50% only pay 3% of the tax load. So, I am uniquely positioned, I think, to help high net worth and high income business owners and entrepreneurs, reduce their income, capital gains, and estate taxes significantly. I think for the ultra high net worth community, it's all about sustainability with their asset protection. In other words, why leave assets when you have tens of millions of dollars? Why leave that to a child where it could be taken in a lawsuit or a personal injury action or a divorce? Why not instead always use trusts to do asset protection for your family? And if we're going to do a trust, why not use one of the just few jurisdictions that have perpetual dynastic trusts like Delaware? So most of our high net worth clients, we will set up a Delaware dynasty trust to ultimately be the recipient of all that family's wealth. And I want to make sure that everybody sees I've got our new book, Entrepreneurial Beast Mode, that's available on Amazon. And it is a proven blueprint on how to slash taxes and protect wealth from predators and build 100-year legacies while achieving 10-to-1 ROI. Entrepreneurial Beast Mode is basically the book that I wrote that is a kind of a Bible on how high net worth families can protect their wealth for generations. We introduced Fountainhead Global, which is our family office, and our family office runs in conjunction with our law firm, Wealth Planning Law Group, to provide really the ultimate in asset protection and tax mitigation. This book actually uses real life examples where we changed the names and showed how families, one family was the hotel empire and how we saved that family $35 million in death taxes. Or we had another family that had exited their business. They were sitting on about 35 million within a C Corp. And I explained how that C Corp stock could be taken if there was a car accident or a lawsuit. So we moved that stock into what's called a domestic asset protection trust, or a DAPT. And by moving it into that trust structure, we were able to avoid future creditors and yet still get stepped up basis in that stock. We would recommend that you reach out to us at least a year in advance before the sale so that we could set up multiple intentionally non-grantor trusts for your family. And that way we would multiply the 1202 exemption by the number of trusts that we establish. and potentially shelter the entire sale from any capital gains. On the family office side with Fountainhead Global, we work with families to develop ongoing financial literacy for the future generations. We start development of a family constitution, as well as a mission and vision and core values development for the family. And then we implement a quarterly review whereby the family, along with their financial advisor, tax preparer, and attorney, all sit down to optimize that family's wealth on a regular quarterly basis. So we'll look at income tax strategies. Like we have clients right now that were making over $1 million a year and paying $300,000-400 grand in taxes, where we've implemented solar strategies, for example, and completely eliminated their tax bill. There's film tax credits out there. There's cost segregation. There's captive insurance companies. So it just depends on the fact pattern with the client, and then having somebody knowledgeable of these sophisticated strategies. For example, in the retirement planning space, a lot of people know about 401ks, but very few small business owners have been introduced to either cash balance or 412(e)(3) plans. And in those two types of retirement plans, a business owner could potentially put away $500,000 a year, income tax deductible, and as the money goes into the plan, it's also asset protected from creditors and cannot even be taken if you subsequently file bankruptcy. That's how strong it is. So we highly encourage our small business owners that have less than 15 employees to look at a cash balance or 412(e)(3) plan. In a 401k plan, the business owner can only maybe put away, 30 grand, not the $500,000 you can do in a 412(e)(3). Secondly, in a 401k, because you have to take care of all your other employees, only a small percentage of the outlay goes to the owner. In a well-designed cash balance or 412(e)(3) plan, we've got upwards of 90% of every dollar going into the entrepreneur's personal pocket. So it's much more heavily weighted to the business owner. I'll tell you that the moment to plan is today, because none of us know when the good Lord's coming for us. And I can tell you from personal experience, I was 16 when my own father, who was the strongest person I've ever met, he could do 101 arm push-ups and tear yellow pages with his bare hands. He suffered a massive series of strokes, was left an invalid, and died a few years later. And he was only 47. And you think about the stress that most entrepreneurs are under, and the answer is the time to plan is now. And again, from an ROI standpoint, we can usually generate a 10-to-1 return for you if you just invest a little bit of time with us. If you'd like to get a hold of us, my name is Todd Villarrubia. That's with 2 L's and 2 R's. and I can be found at www.lawealthplan.com, as well as our family office services at fountainheadglobal.com. My personal and direct email is Todd, Todd, at lawealthplan.com. We can also be reached toll free nationally at 1-833 USA Wealth. So please give us a call. We offer complimentary initial consultations, and everything we do is on a flat fee basis that's disclosed up front. So you're not sitting there wondering how many hours and tenths of an hour you're going to be billed. We don't want our clients worried about calling us or emailing us. We want you to feel comfortable. And again, we're not the least expensive law firm, but we do work that has never been overturned.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.